Hello, hello, hello. How is it going? It's Justin McDonald here with another real result for you. Today comes from Steve Adams. A brand without marketing is a tree falling in a distant, unpopulated forest. So, that's a good one, right? Because some people like to say, well, what I got, what I sell, sells itself. My business is different, or whatever they want to say. But if you think about it, hold on one moment, I'm just going to close this door. I just have some music playing, and it's kind of distracting. I should have took care of that already. I'll open my window a little bit. Alright, I'm back. Who's Steve Adams? I'm pretty sure he was actually in one of Dan Kennedy's books, No BS newsletter. Not No BS newsletter. No BS brand marketing or personal branding, I think. Because of the word brand right there, that just makes me think that it must be from the personal branding book. And I don't have any books by the author Steve Adams, so he was probably quoted in the book or in some fashion. So I swiped it. But think about a brand could also be like a mom and pop store, right? A mom and pop store, a brick and mortar store on Main Street in Chicago, or a business in Tallahassee or Tennessee or Boston or California. If something happens to a business out there and let's say it closes down and goes bankrupt, none of us are going to know about it. At least I won't. And probably because their only source of and their only marketing tool is probably word of mouth. And because of that, only the people probably in a close proximity would maybe do business or tourist or something like that. But think about like think about a lot of products out there too. A lot of people that sell products or services or commodities of some sort. And have you ever heard that before though? Like somebody will be like, it sells itself. And they'll just kind of be like, their business is different in a way where like they're like, I don't need advertising, I don't need marketing, it's not for me. We'd make this great thing and all the orders are all fulfilled and we don't need to do any marketing whatsoever. And the funny thing is the person and the people that say that and the businesses say that, I don't know if they know this or not, but they are doing marketing, and their marketing has matched like their customer so well that they don't need to do advertising. And that's a really good problem to have. But for somebody to say that there's no marketing or there's no marketing process involved in that would be fooling themselves, because anybody that can actually do that has probably, whether it's intentional or not, has done a lot of marketing. And sometimes in those situations, there's just like such a good process there that there's not a whole lot of like retooling or advertising that needs to be done. If you go to a lot of cities and towns all across the country that have certain kinds of restaurants or takeout places or something like that, or breakfast places. I've seen plenty of them um, in some of the more dicier areas to the most nicer areas, and yeah, they do very well as far as like not having to do advertising and um, just do business and always get a packed house. Now, there is a whole lot of marketing in that, and many times it just because like they're not doing blatant advertising, people just assume, and hey, maybe even advertisers assume this too, and the businesses themselves might too. They just really feel like because they're so lazy with their marketing efforts because they have a good product or service that matches what the audience, what the crowd wants. I mean, that there's like I said, there's in an outside standpoint, my perspective at least, there's layers and layers and different cogs in the wheel when it comes to marketing too. And some of it could seem like it's accidental or it's not intentional, and sometimes it is that way. And some businesses have such a good marketing process and system that it doesn't need to be touched. And it could just be there's like a system involved that it runs so smoothly. When things run smoothly, no one sees. You know what I mean? No one sees a wheel in a car, all four of them when they're driving in it, and they're driving just fine and not having any problems with the wheels, right? But if there's a problem with your tire or whatever, you're gonna feel that real quick and stop and have to change it or whatever. But like, it's the same thing with marketing, in my opinion. Like if a good marketing process is like, and when I mean good, like one where a product or service somehow can like almost like a match made in heaven serve the client's needs. And what there's a few things that I could say that happens in the background that I'll just point out real quick. One of them is definitely word of mouth and referrals. um, Now I'm just thinking back to it's just popping in my head a lot too. Like, even like I know places like in Cape Cod and other places because I live in Massachusetts, but like in other like states that have close access to oceans and tourist areas. Now they will have different restaurants and shops and places on Main Street that are always popping, but Main Street in itself is marketing. Like if just if you go anywhere right in this country and you're looking for tourism as far as like where are people like hanging out to have fun and buy stuff basically and eating and all that and going out, most in most cases you would look for Main Street, right? It like there's all the happenings, it seems like it's always on Main Street. So it's like almost like primetime TV or like YouTube or put whatever it is, like a platform. Like Main Street in any town or city is basically like marketplace, a marketing platform. Um, and sometimes it's like I said, sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not. So like if you're just like I'm going to have this awesome product and service or whatever it is, and you're not doing any market research as far as, I mean, coming up with prices even if you're coming up with prices on what to charge, you're technically doing market research, because how else are you going to be able to figure out what everybody else is paying, what you should charge? So I mean, it's not it's like lower on the totem pole as far as marketing efforts, but it's one of the most essential ones. It's a very essential one actually. Is determining price and who to charge, and then that goes to something else I was just thinking is treating all customers equal. People strangers, when we meet each other, if you want to talk about politeness and manners and treat everybody the same, if you're talking about institutions and schools, okay. You have a very valid and fair point. But if you're talking about treating all customers the same, this is why we get into trouble. Is because you some of the businesses that get in the most amount of trouble is because they literally treat all customers equal. And if you do that, that means there's no ascension program. It sounds like there's no incentives to do business with you and all that. And that's why it's not a good idea to do that either. I know it sounds messed up. It doesn't mean don't treat your customers nice or anything like that, and be respectful or whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about treating all customers equal. If you have a customer that takes a line of credit out in your business and has to owe you, are you going to give everybody that same like access, authority, or permission? I hope not, because you could go bankrupt real quick. Um, and also, this is why it's important to have ascension programs and different ascension processes, I guess you could say, in your business. Um, like a customer goes through a journey almost, because really the when somebody buys something, like, it doesn't necessarily even stop at the cash register. I'm talking about the process. A lot of people think that's where it stops too. Like, segueing into that for a moment, like, when somebody goes buying something, then that's it. And it's like, yeah, but that person that bought something is a human being, and they are most likely associated with other human beings. So it's more than likely that when somebody buys something, they're going to tell others about it in some way, and they're going to want to justify the purchase. Like, oh, hey honey, I got these pants today. I got this shirt today. It was on sale. See what I mean? Like, that's that's part of the buying behavior too. You want to pay attention to is like the indirect, not just the direct, like, this is going to solve their problem, but what about the indirect effects of the sale too? And if you're in the business of just selling people something one time and not collecting their information on any level, I mean, you're just taking money that's on the table and just pushing it away. And it doesn't mean, like, it gives you permission to just harass everybody that comes through your door to take down their information. No. Or on your website or whatever. No, like, there's more ethical ways and easier ways to get them to not only sign up their contact information with you, but make them want to. A lot of business and companies do things with apps and incentives in that way, we've mentioned before. You know, like punch card systems and points and free gifts and things like that, for, participating in something like that. It's not necessarily an ascension program, but it does give the buyer a sense of exclusivity in a way because they're part of a club. And, if I have a punch card and I have these too, and if it's got like nine holes in the burrito card, or 9 punches in the pizza slice one, or the milk one, or the coffee one, or whatever, or especially when it gets towards getting a full card, where do you think my next 3, 4 purchases, and especially when I get the free one, is going to be at? Hello? So, like, that's why punch card systems work very well too. And when the customer gets closer to filling the card, you're kind of locking in future sales, like those last few sales. Like, when everybody else is doing the same thing you are, but you offer a punch card program and then like they get something free on the ninth or 10th one or whatever, like you're basically guaranteeing your 8th, ninth, 10th sale. And when they do redeem the card anyways, most people that are, that have a conscience too, and business owners are probably going to still spend money. In fact, they might spend the same amount of money, if not more, when you do stuff like that. Seriously. And then they might, and this is why they might refer somebody else too. This is a good way. This is a good way to hook people in. It's way cheaper than advertising in many cases too to do something like that. To have incentive programs like that to reward people for coming back, because when you give somebody the idea that they're going to get an extra little perk or reward next time they shop with you, you're going to position yourself higher up on the list of choices. There might be 10 other choices, but if you're not number one, at least you're number 2 or 3 or 4, and you're like, hey, at least they got the punch card over there, and I'm on punch 8. I only need to get a couple more, and I get a free something. So don't ignore incentive programs. It's part of a marketing system. Because again, you could be a mom and pop place, and who cares if I don't know that you're closing down or opening up hundreds of miles away from here? It doesn't matter. But the people that are close to you, that are going to be doing business, like, they're going to be in the forest. And do you want to be a tree that falls and nobody notices? Absolutely not. So you want to have a marketing process. That's all I have for you today. If you like this, just share it or give it a thumbs up. Or you can leave a comment. Have a nice day. Peace.